Why does a square wave become a sine wave on an oscilloscope? The fundamental reason is that the bandwidth of the oscilloscope is insufficient. The bandwidth of an oscilloscope refers to the frequency range within which the instrument can accurately measure and display signals. When a sine wave is input, the signal amplitude decays to the highest frequency at which it drops to the actual value of -3 dB. It refers to the bandwidth of this oscilloscope. We directly utilize the bandwidth limitation function of the oscilloscope to simulate the scenario where the available bandwidth is insufficient. The signal source outputs a 20 MHz sine wave signal with an amplitude of 1 V. Enable the 20 MHz bandwidth limitation function of the oscilloscope. The frequency can be recognized normally, but the amplitude is only about 700 mV. It precisely falls at the -3 dB attenuation point. Increase the frequency to 30 MHz. The amplitude continued to decline, and the waveform became significantly distorted. Turn off the bandwidth limitation and return to full bandwidth. The amplitude will immediately return to the normal level of 1 V. Now let's look at the square wave when outputting a 20 MHz 1 V square wave signal. After enabling the bandwidth limitation, the square wave directly transformed into a smooth sine wave. This is because the bandwidth is insufficient and all the high-frequency harmonic components in the square wave have been filtered out. Remove the restrictions and the crisp square wave instantly returns to normal. First of all, insufficient bandwidth will cause the signal amplitude to decrease and phase distortion to occur. Secondly, the rising edge of the signal is prolonged, and high-frequency harmonics cannot be captured. This resulted in severe waveform distortion from square wave to sine wave. Knowing the frequency of the test signal. How to choose the appropriate bandwidth for the oscilloscope. First, remember the five-fold rule. For sinusoidal wave signal, the bandwidth of the oscilloscope should be no less than 5 times the frequency of the measured signal. It can completely capture the high-frequency harmonic components, ensuring that the shape and amplitude of the signal remain undistorted. If it is a square wave, a larger bandwidth is required. The square wave is formed by the superposition of odd harmonics, and it is necessary to capture the higher-order components. The bandwidth of the oscilloscope must be at least 9 times greater than the frequency of the measured signal in order to conduct an accurate test.